So I had a question about the last part of VP20 that I added recently, where you have to download this number and make a list. And so let me give it a try. Now the technique that I like to use here is actually in VP22. So if I remember, I'll put a link there to the technique I like to use to do this. There you are. Here's code that will download a file from my website and then turn it into a list. So I should be able to use a modified version of this code. Yeah, like this. All right. So there's the code that loads one thing. Let me get to my Opera, which has got my Google. All right, so here's code. What this code will do, let me see if I can make it show more of the useful. I guess it's showing all the code. Okay, so what it's going to do, it's going to open this file on my server. The bang, by the way, is what you put in Google Colab to execute a bash shell command from inside the Python environment. So that will do a wget, fetching a file from my server. Then I can open it locally. It's called 10 million password top 10. I open it in read mode and give it a handle F. Then lines is F read lines. That will take all the lines in the file and put it in an object called lines. And now, to make this clear, let's print what that is and see what it is. Print lines and type of lines. To see what we've got. All right, then we're going to make passwords down here, taking the first 1,000 of those many lines and putting them in a variable called passwords. But let's just run this. So it connects, first it allocates resources on the Google servers to make a virtual machine or a container really for me to use. Now it's done. Then it resolves the domain, samsclass.info, and it downloads a file. So here's the file being downloaded. Then it, here, it's going to print, I printed lines and type of lines, but I shouldn't have because lines is like 1,000,000 or 10,000 passwords long. So I'm going to do this. Now, by the way, here's something to know. When you download things in this environment, they go here in your files. So I have that file here. So I don't want to download it again. I mean, it wouldn't really do any harm, but it's unnecessary. So after I download it the first time, I put a comment here. So it'll stop downloading it all the time. It's already there. It can just read it. So let's try running this again, which is here. And now I can see it's a list. So it did put these things, they're already in a list. Now, so I can take line sub I, that'll be an element, and then once I've got the individual element, it's now a string. So let's carry that on here. I'm going to do type of lines and type of lines sub 0. We can see what's going on here. And now I can print the actual value along with the type, because there's only one element here. It's not going to scroll way over to the right where I can't see things. All right. So the lines is a list. The first element in lines is this, and that's a string. And strings have this method called strip. And I think it might have a carriage return at the end. That's what strip is going to do. Let's try that. If I do line sub 0 dot strip, that will just remove extra carriage return at the end, which you often have. And you can see there was one. That's why this was on the next line. Now it's removed. And all right, and so that's what this does. This will add to a list of passwords the lines elements which are stripped after they're turned into text. So that's what you need for 22, but we also need it for this last part of 20. And that's what I wanted to show you. So we have this file, and we're going to have to find numbers that add up to something. So we just need to put the numbers. This file, if you open it and look at it in a browser, is just a long list of numbers, separated by carriage returns. So I want to put those in a list. Now, by the way, one sleazy technique that I have used is to copy it into a text editor and you search and replace to change a carriage return into closed brackets and commas, and that'll work. But you can also get Python to do it, and that's what we're going to do here. So you need this URL. I copy the link address, all right? And so I'm going to use this same code, but I'm going to replace that link with the other link. And one thing not to be confused by is this one ends in a .txt because somebody else made the file. When I made the file, I didn't put any file name extension on it at all, and that's okay. Unix servers, which is what I'm using, do not care about file extensions. You can have them or not have them. They don't mean anything. So that's going to download the file after I get rid of the comment. Then I'm going to want to open it here. I got to put in the right file name. It's going to be VP20A. All right. And now I can see the first couple of elements, and now I should be able to just use the same code. It'll put it in a thing named passwords, and I don't think they are passwords, but anyway, It should work, although there probably aren't 1,000 of them. So instead of trying to do just 1,000, I'm going to say it's going to create an object, lines, which is a list of the elements. So what I usually do in this case is L in lines. That will pull the individual lines out one by one for however many they are. And now L is going to be a string, so it's going to be passwords append L. L.strip, no more a bracket I. That should do it. The for loop will pick out the lines one by one, and this will strip carriage returns from the end and add them to this thing called passwords. So let's see if it works. It downloads the file. There it is. It is a list. There's the first element, class string, and I think it worked, but I didn't print anything out to prove it worked, so let's try that. Print. How about 0:5? I think I can do this. We'll see if that works. Might not be able to do that. We're going to see. That would work for a string. I'm not sure it works for a list. It does work. Okay, there's the first 5 elements of a list. So that's how you do it. There's a couple of gotchas. The file extension doesn't matter. And when you do the strip, that has to be on a text object, not the list as a whole. So you have to pull the elements out of the list and strip them one by one. So I hope that helps. If you get to the last part here of VP20, you need to get a long list of stuff. All right. So let me stop this recording.